All right, everybody, I'm going to show you how to get started on your cardboard relief sculpture. The first thing that you need is your background piece. So you just need a flat piece of cardboard to the size that is required for this project. So I have my cardboard here. It's like the best piece I could find within the boxes that I saved. And then you need to think about what is going to come first and what will be last in your relief sculpture. So we need to think about the layers that I talked about. Also at the same time, you need to be thinking about your textures, right? So like if I am going to create a landscape, and remember you have a couple choices of different themes that you could do, I'm gonna basically kind of cut my pieces out ahead of time for the most part, especially for the big areas, because for instance, if I want this to become part of land kind of in the background, I need to think about that, but I also need to think about whether this big hill over here is in front of the land or behind the land, and figure that all out before I glue things down, okay? So for instance, if I'm gonna go like this, maybe this hill or this rock or whatever this may be over on this side is in front of it. So kind of think about things before you glue them down. And remember that we need different textures, right? For this time, it's 3 different textures. Maybe I want to make all of this land the kind where I pull the texture away. Maybe not this land, but this rock. This cardboard I have is very, very tough, so it is making my demonstration a little bit difficult because it is hard for me to pull off these pieces. It's like an industrial type box. So here we go. I pulled off that top layer of cardboard there to reveal this kind of texture, right? To create one type, so I might have that over here. Maybe on this hill, I take my scissors and I decide I want to like cut into it. Just to rough up the surface a little bit. A little bit more interesting. And then there's lots of other textures that are available to you. There's a couple other videos that I'll show you, but we can pull off all those pieces that I just pulled off of here, and we can do stuff with, so we could glue them on. This is not going to look like a landscape right now. I'm just showing this for like the texture purposes. So I have a hot glue gun here, but you can use white glue or a glue stick. Hot glue gun does set super fast, so that's what's nice about it. But whatever this is going to be up here in the corner, maybe I fold these to put them on. I could take that same paper, I could scrunch it up really, really good. You can even get this cardboard wet. If you get it wet, it makes it super easy to scrunch up like this. But now I've created another texture. Putting that in, so you could do an entire area with this, and it makes it look super cool and like bumpy. Okay, so we have kind of a nice soft texture, a more rough texture. We have this texture. You can take your cardboard and stand them up on the side, so now we have this cool texture here to create somewhere. That gives a lot more visual interest to that area. The cardboard tube I had here at school was super solid too, unlike what I have at home. So I was trying to cut off little tube pieces, but you can see that didn't work very well. So you could do something like that. Glue it in. Okay. Let's see. You can fold your cardboard up in some type of manner, kind of roll it, and it's sort of like this texture, but it looks a little different, right? And this is where the hot glue kind of comes in handy, because with a glue stick, you would not be able to glue this together. Just don't burn yourself. So I'm showing it from above so that you can see all the different textures kind of happening here. You can peel this more so it's a little bit more texture. You know, now we have like a double texture here. We have the reveal of the corrugation, but we also have the soft texture of the top layer. So there's lots of things that you can do. Ooh. Okay, I could take all these little pieces. That creates an interesting texture. Now, if you're doing all this with glue stick or white glue, you can still do it. It's fine. It just takes longer because it doesn't set up as quickly. Okay, so that's just some examples of different textures you can do, but remember, it's kind of like about placement first. So think about what your main areas are going to look like. If they're going to be way up here in the sky, if you have a line up here of mountains or something, that mountain piece needs to come down just about this entire piece because it's way in the background, right? So you can't do this because you have all this empty space. So this background piece here should fill up this entire section. So once you kind of get things laid out how you want them, then you can start gluing them in, and you might have to make some supports to get it correctly. So I am going to do this. I'm going to lay the support in. I'm going to lay this mountainy rock figure over right here, and then I'm going to lay that on top so it's nice and equal. I have it supported on both sides. Just going to go like that. A little bit here. Maybe this is way in the front. Super close. Kind of like that Vincent van Gogh painting, Starry Night, you know, with ginormous thing in it. Okay. And then again, these don't really make sense for this project, right? Because this was a landscape. But this just kind of shows you some different textures that you can do. So remember, you need at least 3 layers. So for instance, this one does not count. So I have 1, I have 2, I have 3, and then all these different textures I'm going to be creating also. And you need at least 3 different textures. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 options that you can do. And there's a lot more resources online that I will provide for you also. Okay, hope this helps.